Now children, let us start the first paragraph of page number 2. The rest part of the story. Open this page number 2 and see the first para. Her hand was wide as a bed slat and twice as hard. Slat means flat piece of wood which we use to make beds. Her, who is this her? Her is California, the cook. Okay, her hand was wide as a bed slat and twice as hard. Her hands are so rough as she does household work, so her hands become so rough and hard. Okay, she was always ordering me. Who is this me? Scout. She is always ordering me out of the kitchen, asking me why I couldn't behave as well as Jem, the brother, when she knew he was older, and calling me home when I wasn't ready to come. Actually, Scout is a bit of a wild child, indisciplined child you can say, and gets disciplined by California often. California used to complain that why she doesn't behave like, why Scout doesn't behave like her brother. Okay, though she knew that her brother was elder and she must have forgotten, she might have forgotten that both the children having such gaps, okay, cannot behave in the same manner. That's why she often gets irritated. Who? Scout. That's why she said that, asking me why I couldn't behave as well as Jem when she knew he was older, and calling me home when I wasn't ready to come. Though she doesn't want to come back home when she goes for playing and all, but she used to call her again and again. Our battles were epic and one-sided. One-sided means California always, wins. So, she said that our battles were epic and one-sided as California always won, mainly because Atticus always took her side. Atticus, father always took her side. She had been with us ever since Jem was born. Since so many years, she has been living with them, with Scout, with Jem. Okay, she was recalling that she has been, California has been living with her, with her family for so many years. Okay, she was Graham from Montgomery. She was Graham, means she belongs to Montgomery. Atticus met her. Atticus means my father met her when he was first elected to the state legislature, when he was working in state legislature. Okay, Atticus met her when he was first, means my father met my mother when he was working in state legislature. He was middle-aged. Then she was 15 years his junior. There was a gap of 15 years between father and the mother. She was 15 years younger to father. Jem was the product of their first year of marriage. Jem was born. Okay, 4 years later I was born. Then after 4 years of Jem's birth, then I was born, and 2 years later our mother died from a sudden heart attack. And after 2 years, okay, the mother and after 2 years, what had happened? The mother died from a sudden heart attack. The mother died from a severe heart attack. She got a severe heart attack and she died. They said it ran in her family. They said it was believed that it was hereditary. Okay, it runs from family to family, from members of family to the other member. I did not miss her. She doesn't feel she is with her mother. Okay, she doesn't miss her. But I think Jem did. But Jem used to miss her a lot. He remembered her clearly, and sometimes in the middle of a game, sometimes when they were playing, he would sigh at length, then go off Then he used to go at the middle of their play and play by himself behind the car house. Behind the car house, he used to play with himself only, alone. Okay, with nobody else he wanted to play. Okay, he wanted to play with himself whenever he missed his mother. When he was like that, I knew better than to bother him. When I was almost 6 and Jem was nearly 10, as there was a gap of 4 years between Jem and Scout. She's recalling the time. She said that when I was almost 6 and Jem was nearly 10, our summertime boundaries, the time of their playing, when they play with each other, boundaries, and they had very limited areas within calling distance of California. I was bound to play, means we were bound to play in the boundaries, okay, where were Mrs. Henry Lafayette Dubois' house 2 doors to the north of us and Redley Place 3 doors to the south. These area from Mrs. Henry's Lafayette Dubois and secondly Redley Place, means they had this limited area, very limited area. They were bound to play in this boundaries only, okay, where 2 or 3 houses were together, and they were told, we were never tempted to break them. They were told not to break this rule. They were restricted to play inside of this limited area only. We were never tempted to break them. The Redley Place was inhabited by an unknown entity, the mere description of whom was enough to make us behave for days on end. Means there was unknown entity. Entity here you can say a creature. Okay, an unknown creature was there, whose name was enough to, whose figure, whose image was enough to make them frightened. Okay, so Mrs. Dubois was plain hell. Mrs. Dubois was plain hell, means she was very, very cruel type lady. She was not friendly type person. Okay. That was the summer Dill came to us, as I have told you earlier that in their life, who came? Dill, who has brought much happiness to their life. Early one morning, as we were beginning our day's play in the backyard, Jem and I heard something next door in Miss Rachel's Haverford's collard patch. Collard means the green leafy vegetables. Okay. We went to wire fence to see if there was a puppy, if there was a dog. Miss Rachel's rat terrier was expecting, as actually they were expecting that when they heard the noise from that place, they went closer to that place. They were expecting whose dog there? Miss Rachel's dog. Instead we found someone, but in place of dog whom they found someone sitting, looking at us. Sitting down, he wasn't much higher than the collards. We started at him until he spoke. Even we also started staring at him until he spoke. Hey! Who said? Hey! And second conversation? Hey yourself, said Jem pleasantly. First, Dim started saying, hey. And then they responded, hey yourself, said Jem pleasantly.